Everybody, your self-proclaimed metal mogul, back diving into the metal vinyl and CD archive that I have, doing another randomizer video, 10 records as chosen by Discogs. This is kind of a follow-up to one I did a month or so ago. The random records threads videos have been around for quite some time, but it was recently sort of kickstarted again by Metal Marty Mac, who did 10 random records, and I think it's a good one just to go back and revisit occasionally and pull some deep cuts out of my collection that you may not know about. Hell, I may not remember I've got them either. So that's kind of the fun thing about it. And I've spun a couple of these today because they're great records and I haven't listened to them for quite some time. So let's jump into it, shall we? First one up. I'm playing this in the background, but super quiet, so you're probably not going to be able to hear it. But this is a band called Sanhedrin, American band, and this is The Poisoner, which came out in 2019 on Cruz del Sur. Not a band. I discovered this band when 2019 this came out, so around late 2019, I guess. I was going to a lot of gigs pre-pandemic. I was going to maybe 4 or 5 a month even. A lot of local gigs, and a place called Bannerman's within Edinburgh. And one week I went to see who was playing, and there was this band called Sanhedrin that I had never heard before. So I gave them a quick listen, thought, why not? Went along, absolutely superb. They are a three-piece, female-fronted. Erica Stoltz, I think it is. I got it signed that night as well. Pick this up by all three. She's got really kind of ballsy female vocals. She's not one of these beautifully melodic singers, but I love her voice and how it works with this music. So Sanhedrin, some would probably call them hard rock. I think they're right on that the fence between hard rock and metal. Not that it really matters, because it's a really good album. If you want to check out a song, check out Wind on the Storm. Really catchy and quite heavy as well, I think, but superb album. They've had one out since, which I've not picked up, don't even know the name, to be honest with you, but this was one of those good, almost a blind buy in terms of concerts that I ended up going to. Another band that I saw in concert, actually, the year this came out, Slippery When Wet. This is an album, it was massive. Those of you that were around in 86, did it come out? Yeah, it came out in 86, saw them in 87. Anyway, it was huge. If you know this album, you know all the hits on it. Just about every song was a hit, wasn't it? I went hook, line and sinker for this. Then I went to Donington and saw them live, and I was kind of carried along by the crest of the wave of all the people that thought they were shit, all the thrashers. So then I went on and don't think I'd probably played this album again for many years after, thinking I don't like Bon Jovi, absolutely rubbish. But I put this on a few months ago. I think it was another thread or something. It was certainly somebody in the VC inspired me to grab it out and play it. Might even be Mel Mickey, I think. And I sang my heart out to it. Absolutely, I loved it. It's a great album for what it is. Very much of its time, but yeah, you can't be a bit slippery when wet, can you? I've got a lot of compilations, and quite often when I do random pulls using the app, a compilation or two pops up. I think we've only got one in this stack, and this isn't one I'm particularly fond of, to be honest with you. This is Precious Metal that came out in 1980. You can see the bands on there. So it came out in 1980, so it's a lot of... There's a couple of up-and-coming bands on here, like Tigers of Pang Tang, but the rest of it is more... It's 70s metal, hard rock metal. Wishbone Ash, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Steppenwolf. You could probably guess what song that is. New England, I don't remember that song at all. Budgie's on here with Bread Fan. That's a great track. I can't fault that one. Axe have a couple of songs as well, as do Storm, Point Blank, and Gary Moore. It's not my kind of metal, really. I'm not going to argue that it's not. They're not metal bands. Gillan as well, actually, back in the game. But one of those probably cheap comps at the time from on MCA that was trying to ride the crest of the metal wave that was just kicking off. So there we go. Precious Metal, not a great comp. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're into those 70s bands. Merciful Fate Melissa came up. I know what you're thinking. You don't like King Diamond. You don't like his voice, so what are you doing having a Merciful Fate record? Well, I like some songs on this album. It didn't convert me to King Diamond by any means, but I occasionally go through phases of listening to old recordings of the Friday Rock Show from the 80s with Tommy Vance that was on BBC Radio 1 in the UK every Friday night from 10 o'clock. And there's a whole archive of shows online, and I go through these phases of just downloading some and listening to them. And one of them had a Merciful Fate session that they did for the show, and that had 3 or 4 songs from this album, and I really enjoyed it. So I ended up picking this one up. I've not played it for quite some time, so I'm going to have to remind myself about which of the songs that I do like. But that's the only King Diamond Merciful Fate you'll find in my collection, although you'll find quite a lot of Denner and Sherman in my collection. I do quite like that combo of guitar players without King Diamond, unfortunately. Sorry all you fans out there, but that's just the way it is. He's a bit Marmite, isn't he? Heathen, Empire of the Blind came up. This I had as a VCLT from Jim Davis a little while ago now. It's a 2020 release. I hadn't heard this for a while, so I gave it a spin, and I found it a little dull, to be honest with you. On reflection, it didn't blow me away. I'm all about Heathen's early work, if I'm honest with you. I think some of these bands have just reformed. They've obviously got a few quid in their pocket, been promised the reissues of the earlier ones, if they sort of do maybe a new album, but nothing on here particularly blows me away. I find it a little bit dull, as I said. So yeah, let's move on from that one. I'm very grateful also for Jim to send it to me. Michael Schenker, Assault Attack, the one and only Michael Schenker album with, or certainly from this time, with Graham Bonnet on. He was famously fired on touring this album for getting his Todger out on stage. He's since kind of rejoined. He's part of the Michael Schenker Fest that's out at the moment, touring. But I love this album. This is absolutely bang. I didn't actually have to spin this one. I know it so well. Assault Attack, Rocket to the Ground, Dancer, Samurai, Desert Song, Broken Promises, Searching for a Reason, and also big fan of Graham Bonnet's vocals. Certainly the earlier stuff that he did around this time, and even with Rainbow, I have to say that grew on me. Didn't like it at the time, but it's grown on me since. But Assault Attack, Michael Schenker. Couple of CDs up next. Steve Harris, British Lion. This was originally released, in 2012? Doesn't sound too much like Iron Maiden if you've not heard British Lion. But it's good metal. This album I like a lot. I much prefer the album they released in the last couple of years or so. And incidentally, they're touring the UK as of next year. So myself at the Rock Scout will be popping along to see Mr. Harris with British Lion on in a small club, really. Well, small club, I say probably 150, 200 people max. But that's going to be awesome, I think. Really looking forward to that one. But a decent enough album. Although it's been a long time since I played this, probably about 3 or 4 years at least. And I'm struggling to recommend any songs. But if you sample it online, it doesn't sound like Maiden, as I say, but it's good heavy metal. I enjoy it. different sort of singer to Iron Maiden as well, so that's quite cool. Big fan of Night Demon, and this is Live Darkness, the live album, that live double album, which is particularly impressive considering Night Demon, when they released this, only had 2 albums out. So it's pretty much their whole catalogue, and it is a fantastic live album. Sounds superb. They're a brilliant live band. This week I only just found out that Dusty Squires, the drummer, had left. Just seeing some pictures, or they announced on Facebook the current drummer, whose name I haven't quite learned yet. It was his birthday, and I just thought, weird. I didn't know they changed drummers, but apparently they did, and it's all explained on Night Demon do a regular podcast, and I've just not got around to checking out that episode, even though it was a few months ago now, I think. But can't go wrong with Night Demon, even if you're not a big sort of live album fan, or if you've not checked out Night Demon. This is a pretty decent place to start. You get the energy. You get all the hits. Great album. Right, last couple. Number 9. Thrasher came up. Again, not one I've spun for quite some time. Now, Thrasher's, it's a project more than a group. The main guy behind the band is Carl Kennedy. He was the drummer in The Rods. Still is, I think. And he got together with a number of other musicians. I think Gary Baldolino was on here as well, who was also in The Rods. Dan Spitz plays guitar on one of these from Anthrax. But it's kind of a 80s version of what's that project that Alex Skolnick and Mike Portnoy have, Metal Allegiance. Kind of like an 80s version of that. I think it was just a one and done, though. It's on Music for Nations. But it's a good album. It's enjoyable. It's not thrashy, but it's kind of speedy. It's metal. And it's a good listen. But what year did this one come out? Of course, Music for Nations never put the dates on, but it's 45, so I'm going to guess it's probably about 85 or 86. And a last, but by no means least, take out the sleeve, Slammer Nightmare Scenario got picked out for me. A very timely pick from Discogs Randomiser on this one, because I went to see Slammer play at there was a UK thrash festival in Glasgow a few weeks ago, and Slammer have recently reformed with a couple of original members. Enzo and Paul Tunnicliffe are the only original members still in the band. Unfortunately, we lost Milo, rest in peace, a year or two ago now, a couple of years ago, I think, and they put on a superb show. So there were 8 bands at the gig in total. It's split across 2 venues. The first 4 bands were less known, and then so what did we have? I can't even remember the name of the first one, if I'm honest. Thrashist Regime were played second on the bill. They were superb, loving band from Aberdeen. I've got a couple of CDs, so there'll be a future update. I'll talk about them. Sacrificial Burial, I believe. They had toured with Obituary. Not really for me. They were okay. And then Dog Tired, who I've seen a few times. So that was a good first 4 bands to kick off the day. And then the 4 bands sort of from the evening slot were Lawnmower Death. They were great. Much more punky than I'd realised. Slammer played after them. Played an absolutely fantastic set. Really, really good. They played for about 35-40 minutes. And honestly, Paul Tunnicliffe's vocals... he hasn't lost it. Absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed that show. In fact, I probably enjoyed that more than Zentrix, who played after, and again, they were brilliant. And Acid Rain headlined. So it was a great little or local sort of festival with some great UK thrash talent. So really good. I was wondering how I was going to get that into a video and talk about it, because I didn't really want to do a whole review. But yes, it was great, certainly, to see. I'd never seen Acid Rain before. Zentrix, brilliant. Slammer, fantastic. And Lawnmower Death, but just Lawnmower Death, I guess. Really good. But Nightmare Scenario, 1991, Slammer's second and last album. That Slammer show actually was the first time they played in about 30 years or so. I was chatting to Enzo after, and I could tell they were really buzzing from it. So who knows? Hopefully we'll maybe see some new material from them. Maybe a tour. Who knows? That would be absolutely fantastic. But there we go. That's my 10 random albums for today. Slammer, Thrasher, Night Demon, Steve Harris's British Lion, Michael Schenker Group, Heathen, Blissful Fate, various artists, Precious Metal, and Slippery When Wet, and last but not least, Sanhedrin, The Poisoner. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in another video very soon.